Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror and sci-fi show where things can get totally radical. Now today, I will be welcoming the son of Adrienne Barbeau in the 1980 John Carpenter classic, The Fog, Ty Mitchell. Yes, Ty Mitchell, who played Andy Wayne, is coming on the podcast today to talk about the 40th anniversary of that movie, his memories of making it. I also want to ask him about some other roles he did too, like Halloween 2. He did an episode of Chips, an episode of Alice. And now he's, or I don't know if he's still doing it now, but for a while he was camera assisting in Hollywood. And I'm going to ask him about all that stuff. And it's going to be pretty great. And, oh man, I'm just so damn lucky with all the guests I get. And I know I say it constantly, but I have to keep reminding you because I am defying all fucking odds. So, yeah, here is my interview with Ty Mitchell.
Hey, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Not bad, not bad.
Well, welcome to the show. This is such a great honor. Thank you for taking the time today.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Awesome. So, going back in time, you were a child
actor.
Wish I could. Yeah, I think we all wish we could. You were a child actor. At what age did that start?
It started when I was 5.
Mm-hmm. You were doing...
Yeah, it all started when I was 5.
Mm-hmm. You were doing...
I just had to step out of a car. I didn't want the person with to hear this whole treacherous story of mine. But so I was 5 years old. I was growing up in the Hollywood Hills, and a friend of my family was a photographer, and he had a friend who was a talent agent, and he convinced my mom to let him take some headshots of me, and he set up an interview with the agent. I went in, and within 5 minutes, they signed me, and then they sent me out on my first audition, which was for a soap opera called Days of Our Lives. And I went on one audition, and I got the part as an orphan kid on Days of Our Lives. So that lasted for, I don't remember how long. And then, I went on audition after audition, and I worked rather frequently as a young kid until I got the part. That was at age 9. So.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So your parents weren't in the business then?
No, I was the only one in the business for, I guess, probably about 18 years, and then my mom opened a talent agency. She actually worked for my agent, Mary Grady, for about 10 years, I think, and then they had somewhat of a falling out, I guess. She just decided to go her own way, and she opened her own agency.
Yeah.
And worked for another 20 years, with her own agency before she met my stepfather, who ironically is a director of photography and who's worked with John Carpenter.
Wow.
So she and we both ended up in the same coffee table book that was made by Kim Gottlieb, who was our still photographer on The Fog.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So it's ironic that she married this man, and then he and I are both in the same book, about John Carpenter's movies. It's really funny. He did Christine, and Starman, and he did other movies, Carrie to the Rage, and different things as well.
Yeah, all the Carpenter stuff. Yeah.
So
you did you do a lot of commercials back then? I
did, various products. I Kellogg's and McDonald's and all kinds of different products. Kenner Toys, Mattel Toys. I worked a lot. Did a lot of things, different things. I did voiceovers for cartoons. I did promos for cartoons on the weekends on ABC. I stayed pretty busy.
Yeah, you were.
It was great.
Yeah, you were endorsing fast food before it became the consumer, hazard that it is now.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't over 1 billion sold at that time. I think it was still in the 100,000s. But I don't want to, age myself. But obviously, I just had my big 50 birthday in January, so
Mm-hmm.
It hasn't been too bad.
Congratulations on that, at least.
Thanks a lot.
But can you believe that it's been 40 years since The Fog?
No, in some instances I can, and then in other Francisco and Bodega Bay and the whole process, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, it seems like ages ago. You know, I had the opportunity to see Jamie and Adrienne Barbeau and Tom Atkins recently at one of the Horror Hound, you know, one of the Comic-Con kind of conventions they have.
Right.
And so we got to see each other. It was pretty neat. I saw Hal Holbrook a few years ago. I day played on a NCIS episode, and I got to see Hal Holbrook, which was neat too. We took a photo after all these years.
Yeah, he's 95 and he's still out there slugging.
Yeah. Yeah, you can believe that?
Yeah,
amazing.
It's amazing, yeah. So do you know if you beat out like 100 other kids for the role of Andy?
You know what? I don't know how many people auditioned. I just know that when I walked in, I think because I was pretty charismatic at my age and I looked so much like Adrienne, I think it was just like a lock after the first audition. I never went back for a callback or anything. By the time I got home, my agent had already heard from them, and, you know, from Deborah and John, and that was that. It was just, you know, move forward. I don't recall hearing how many kids auditioned. I'm sure there were quite a few.
Mm-hmm. What was Carpenter like as a director?
You know what, he had a very strong, you know, vision of what he was looking for. You could tell that he knew what he wanted. But at the same time, I remember as a kid, like the way he communicated with me was like, of course I was a young adult. I mean, at that age, I was a professional, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I was raised that way, you know. I mean, from age 5 until I was 9, and then it just became second nature. It was just something that I did. I knew how to do, you know.
Yeah.
And but my mom, you know, she did a good job of keeping me centered and focused, and not to behave like a little kid, which, you know, a lot of people don't think that's a good thing sometimes, you know, for a little kid to have to become an adult. But it was good for me. I think it helped me in the long run. And I think it helped me, you know, continue to work. Because if you don't have to deal with a little brat on set, you know, if at all possible,
yeah.
I think that benefits you, you know. So I just remember John, you know, being able to communicate to me what he wanted. I never did a take more than 3 times on the entire project, except for the bedroom scene with Adrienne,
Mm-hmm.
and that was due to lighting, you know, being able to see the lights out through the window, or, you know, it was technical stuff, and it started to frustrate me a little bit. And I remember John pulling me aside and saying, "Hey, this has nothing to do with you and everything to do with my crew getting things right. You're doing a great job. Just keep doing what you're doing," you know. And so I felt better, and we went on and finished. I think we had to do like 9 takes on that one. So yeah, I remember all this stuff. It's really strange, the things that are in my memory that I've never let go of, you know.
Yeah, well, it was an important chapter of your life.
Yeah, it was a big deal.
Yeah, and Carpenter, he wanted the movie to look very mainstream and not look like a low budget movie. And I know that the schedule was very quick.
Yeah, it was basically done in, I think, 5 weeks total, somewhere around there. And I mean, he shot it anamorphic, and you know, he took the time on the lighting setups. He wanted everything to look really, really sharp and good. And I think it ultimately paid off. I think it looked great. You know.
Yeah.
I don't think that, you know, the fog was actually authentic. I mean, he would take the time and actually, you know, make a big tent off a big piece of the street, and actually fog it up. You know, he didn't want to do anything that looked cheesy or you know, inauthentic. You know?
Yeah. What was it like filming the scene where the fog kills Grandma?
What's that?
What was it like filming the scene where the fog kills Grandma?
Oh, it's funny. I just watched that on YouTube the other day. Somebody had posted just that piece.
Yeah.
It was fun. She was a neat lady. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that scene a lot. And you know, seeing her get hacked up by the monsters as a kid was like, that was neat. My babysitter got hacked up by monsters. Cool.
Yeah. So working with Adrienne was great?
Oh, she was fabulous, yeah.
Yeah.
She was phenomenal.
I met her last September at Son of Monsterpalooza in Burbank. Oh, she was just a delight.
Isn't she sweet?
Yeah. She's very...
she's the best.
She's very sweet, and she's still gorgeous to this day.
Yeah, she still looks the same to me. She looks great. I guess it's because my eyes are older too. But
Yeah.
I remember. I'll share this with you. I don't share this with many people, so this is a bone I'm throwing you right here. But while we were shooting that bedroom scene, after the first or second take, John cut, and I ran over to my mom, and I said, "Mom, do you see the set of headlights on her?" About it. I mean, at 9 years old, I could recognize greatness, right?
Kids say the darndest things.
Right? Don't they?
Yeah.
Can you imagine? I remember my mom turned beet red. Oh, God. It was funny.
Oh, she must have been embarrassed. Yeah.
I don't think I've ever shared that with anybody else.
Oh,
I can't remember repeating that.
I'm glad you shared it with me. That was great. What exactly is a stomach pounder?
Everybody has their. I've heard everybody's interpretations of it. Mm-hmm. But it was just supposed to be like a piece of like a pound cake, or like a piece of angel food cake or something. Everybody thinks it's like this big burger, or it's this big a Twinkie or something.
A candy bar.
Everything you can imagine. So yeah, I asked John, and he said, it's just a piece of pound cake or something.
Yeah, I figured it had something to do with like a sweet snack or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was it cold there on the beach?
Yeah, it was a little chilly. It was windy, but that scene was so much fun, and it required so much like little technical stuff with, like when I reached to grab that wood, the piece of wood, there's a grip that's got me by my jacket, and he lowers me down to pick it up, pulls me back,
Yeah.
And then the rocks were super mossy and slippery, and so I was really trying to just, kind of tiptoe across it, not to slip. And you get real bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was neat. And then I'm sure you've noticed, everybody else has noticed that I follow my footsteps from a previous take in that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd heard something about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they were resurfacing it every time, and they didn't that time. And then we were rolling, so I just said, well, I'll just hug in and take my tracks that I left from the previous one. So it ended up working out fine.
Yeah.
I mean, if you catch that, then you're paying way too much attention to the movie.
Yeah. I'm born and raised in San Mateo, California, and I've gone up there many times. I took a date up there once, and she didn't like horror movies. I was like, the fog was shot up here, and then she got all scared and everything.
Oh yeah. So
yeah.
Have you been up to the lighthouse?
Not the lighthouse, but just on the beach. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's a neat stretch of beach.
It's beautiful up there.
Yeah.
One thing Carpenter always said about this movie, and I always agreed with, was this movie could have been rated G.
Yeah, it could have been, probably, yeah.
Yeah, because
other than the fact that I don't think that they would allow them to be hacking up people like that in a G-rated movie.
Well,
I think the content itself, let alone not the dialogue or any other kind of, but just the content alone is. I don't think they really. Has there been any G-rated horror movies? I don't remember seeing them.
Even though the classics from the 30s were not rated, those could have been G-rated.
That's true.
But
well, I think our ratings and our obsession with the politically correct these days is a little over the top, anyways. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. This could have been at least PG though, because it's not that bad.
I think even Gremlins was PG or something.
Gremlins was PG, and it inspired PG-13.
Yeah, right.
Along with Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom with the heart, getting ripped out of the guy's chest. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you see the remake of The Fog?
I did. Well, what I could bear to watch, I saw.
Yeah, same here. I didn't think it was that good.
Yeah. I would have preferred somebody just, maybe gouge my eyes out and stick them in my ears so I couldn't see or hear the film. But I watched it. I watched it. I tried to be optimistic, but I really didn't think that it was. I didn't think it was anywhere near the quality of John's, interpretation of it. And
Vision. Yeah.
The fog was CG, and it just was horrible.
Yeah, I thought it was just a waste of time, really. After
as do most of the fans. A lot of the fans of the film in the genre, they feel the same way.
Yeah, I don't think I've met one person who likes the Fog remake.
I was just going to say the same thing. I was going to say I don't remember meeting one person that thought it was a good film.
Yeah,
it's pretty bad.
After the Fog, you did an episode of Chips.
I did do an episode of Chips.
What do you remember about that?
I remember everything. What would you like to know about that?
I know Eric Estrada was going through an ego trip during that period, but was he nice to you?
Eric Estrada was going through an ego trip during that period. I was just sharing this with a friend of mine like the day before yesterday.
Wow.
It's really funny. Yeah, so the scene is there's a Sherman tank blocking the intersection. Eric Estrada and Larry Wilcox show up.
Yeah.
And myself and a friend of mine are playing Roar, and we have a little miniature Coke bottle, and I throw it at the tank like a Molotov cocktail, and it splashes all over Eric Estrada, and he chases me down. First take, he chased me down, threw me up against the car like an adult. They were like, cut, he's 10, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So, that's the basic scene, and then he lets me go, and the crowd screams and applauds and everything. But, I remember him being the same way, after the episode, because I was a fan of the show as a kid. I was stoked to get the part,
Mm-hmm.
I went to his trailer afterwards to say goodbye, and just thank him and maybe get a picture sign or something. And his assistant or whatever answers the door and treats me like some pilgrim or some homeless guy. Like, oh, hold on a second. And they bring me this picture out signed by him. My name's spelled wrong, and it just says something generic.
Yeah.
So I've carried that with me too. Like, I've never been a fan of Eric much anymore.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Yeah. I heard he did that to George Lopez too, and George Lopez to this day still will not forgive him, and he always brings it up like in his stand-up or any interview he does.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah,
he was pretty rude.
That's terrible. I remember you did a Halloween episode of Alice.
I also did a Halloween episode of Alice's Halloween Surprise.
Yeah, I remember that episode. Yeah, you were on with Shaver Ross and Billy Jacoby.
Shavar. Yeah, Shavar was a good friend. So was Billy. They were both good friends of mine.
Yeah, I think Billy should have been a huge star after just one of the guys. He's so great in that movie.
Yeah. All the Jacobys were good. He had two brothers that were in the business too. They were all good.
Mm-hmm, and his sister too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and Shavar Ross was phenomenal too. They were both good. We auditioned all the time together.
Mm-hmm.
We were pretty tight.
Yeah, he did Different Strokes, and he did Family Matters later, and of course Friday the 13th Part 5.
Right.
He had a pretty good career.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know he. I know he does conventions.
And Jason Bateman as well. He was one of my largest competitors.
Mm-hmm.
I lost out to a role in him. We auditioned 5 times for his role on Silver Spoons. It was between him and I.
Mm-hmm.
And then it went his direction, and I think that's what took him off to the bigger, better times.
And of course the Hogan family.
Well, yeah, he got that after he was on with Rick Schroeder.
Mm-hmm.
He got Hogan family. Yeah.
On Silver Spoons. Are you friends with Rick Schroeder?
I haven't seen him in a long, long time, but we were, growing up, we were friends. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We were staying out in our off time.
Nice. How was working in Halloween 2?
Halloween 2 was great. It was just a couple of days, but John actually wrote that for me because of my work on the Fog, and everybody else wanted to cut it. They didn't want to leave it in the movie, and John insisted to keep it. And to this day, it's like, it's one of the hugest things that, people bring up about their candy being searched by their parents and all that good stuff,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, to me, this 1 and 4 are the only worthy sequels, but they don't come as close as the first one.
Yeah, well, and this is the only sequel of any movie that's ever taken place immediately where the first one left off, which I thought was pretty cool too.
Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah, and then 3 completely strayed from the formula and didn't even have Michael Myers in it.
Yeah, after 3, that was pretty bad.
It should just
I actually met someone the other day who must have been born under a rock because she had never seen either one of them, The Fog or Halloween 2.
Wow.
And it's not like she's a young, millennial or anything. I mean, she's,
Yeah. I heard laughing in the background.
You're laughing. Yeah, I'm rooting somebody right now because I hear it all the time.
Yeah. So after
I'll be trying to sound important or something. I've never actually seen anything you've done. It's all good.
That's awesome. So after that, you had no desire to continue acting?
Yeah, not so much. I wanted to be my age. I think is what really transpired. I just needed to find myself and be a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
So and after all was said and done, finding a place behind the camera is where I really found that I'm happiest. That's what I'm doing these days.
Mm-hmm. How did you get into camera assisting?
Well, I got into assisting because of my stepdad, who I told you about earlier, who did the John Carpenter movies and stuff. He's a DP, and he asked me once upon a time, like, what did I want to do,
Mm-hmm.
And I told him I want to do what you do. So he helped me out, got me into the union on a project that was non-union on the prep, and flipped on day one of the shoot. I got into the union,
mm-hmm.
and I never looked back from there. It's been pretty neat.
Mm-hmm. What exactly does a camera assistant do?
Well, I started out second assisting, which is basically handing the first assistant everything he needs. But first assisting is basically focus pulling, and then you change out the mags and you film magazines and things like that when we use film.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, that's cool. Cool. At least you still got to be in
now, like over the weekend, I've been doing a lot of operating lately, and over the weekend I just finished shooting. I was DPing a short film that's going to be entering some festivals this coming year.
Mm-hmm.
For this writer and director that is a good friend of mine who's very, very brilliant, very good writer. So he needed help getting this thing shot, so I volunteered to help him out. For a very big pay cut, but it was worth it. And everything we got came out looking beautiful. So I'm looking forward to getting that out there.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Do you know what the next job is going to be?
Yeah, I'm reading the script right now. I'm hopefully going to, it seems like it's a good script. I'm reading it. It's called Hobo 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking to DP that probably in the next coming maybe 2-3 months.
That's awesome.
I'm excited about that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Do you have any anecdotes about working on Southland Tales with The Rock?
Yeah, we did a lot of special effects for that. That was what I was brought on for. I had worked a lot with the crash cams and special effects, so I assisted on that. We shot on top of the Holiday Inn in downtown by Staples Center.
Mm-hmm.
And we shot plates. We shot plates of what used to be the parking lot, which is now the Nokia Center.
Yeah.
And we shot plates of that every 30 seconds every hour.
Right.
Because it was going to become the blimp hangar for Southland Tales.
Nice. Did you get to interact with
that? And then we flipped an ice cream truck downtown on one of the hills. We did a lot of special effects. It was all set stuff.
Yeah. Did you get to interact with The Rock?
I met him.
I heard
I got to say hi and shoot the stuff there for a minute or two.
I heard he's a
cool
very
guy.
Yeah, I heard he's a very nice guy.
Yeah, very, very warm, very nice, very kind.
Do you know if there's going to be any fog reunions this year?
I'm not sure. Not that I've heard of. I haven't heard anything.
Mm-hmm. You still active on the convention circuit?
Not as much. I did one. Was it this past year in Pasadena?
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, if it's like a big annual reunion kind of thing, I would show up.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's just not living that life. I'm. It's kind of odd feelings, and I go once in a while because for the fans.
Yeah.
Because I want to make myself accessible for them, but to do it all the time,
it's a lot.
It's just not my thing,
Yeah. Yeah, some people
really isn't.
Some people do one or two a year, but some people do every weekend.
Yeah, like that. That's just not me. Besides, people get tired of seeing you.
Yeah.
Who's gonna go?
That's true.
You're gonna want to see you again and again and again. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's true. Well, if you ever get booked in California for one of those reunions or conventions, I'll be there.
Are you out here?
Yeah, I live in Redding, California. I go to San Francisco, L.A., Sacramento, to all the conventions and stuff.
Well, if you're ever down this way, down in L.A., hit me up.
I sure will. Yeah.
Hang on to my number. Hit me up.
Absolutely.
I'm always around here unless I'm on location.
Absolutely. Yeah, I always meet up with my guests and stuff when I'm in L.A.
Cool. Yeah.
Well, Ty, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's been my pleasure.
Yes, and you have yourself a great day, and I'll keep an eye out for those projects.
All right. You take care as well.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, there you have it. Ty Mitchell. Ain't he a cool dude? Oh, man. Great stories, funny anecdotes, a funny guy, great stories. It's so great to have him on today. I mean, oh my God, those headlights. I love that. That was a great story. If you like this video, everyone, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Add me as a friend on Facebook. Join my Tommy Kovac comedian page on Facebook. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram and all that fun stuff. Well, that's all the time we have this week on Splat from the Past. Until next time, this is Tommy Throwback Kovac saying, there's no shame in living in the past, because the present sucks. Later, dudes! And watch out for those headlights.